third biggest release of the massive weekend of movie releases was the mystery crime thriller Raat Akeli Hai, directed by debutant director Hani Trehan. It's important to understand in terms of work experience, Hani Trehan has been working in the film industry and has been involved in several film projects since the early 2000s. Actively been a part of the Vishal Bhardwaj School of Filmmaking since Maqbool, the experienced individual finally got a chance on the director's chair with this thriller. The film, which is produced by one of my favorite production companies, RSVP, headed by Ronnie Screwvala, responsible for projects such as Uri and Sonchidia, focuses on the mysterious murder of a patriarch of a dysfunctional family on the night of a wedding. How a misplaced police officer, Inspector Jatil Yadav, played by Nawazuddin Siddiqui, takes over the case, and slowly and steadily, the seedy intentions, actions and dynamics of the family unravel in order to narrow down on the perpetrator is the main premise of Raat Akeli Hai. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects in no particular order so that you guys can ultimately decide whether this movie is worth watching on Netflix or not. The parallels. I first want to get one thing out of the way, especially regarding the parallels created by the public after watching the trailer of the movie. First, technically, Knives Out came out in September of 2019 and Raat Akeli Hai had wrapped up shooting by April of 2019. The direct influence of the film from the creators is highly unlikely from a timeline perspective. Secondly, if you have seen both the films, you will realize that both of them are extremely different in pitch, tonality, treatment, and especially on the message that they are trying to convey. Yes, the movie bears resemblance in the fact that it is set in one location and an officer comes to the bottom of the case of who the perpetrator is, but in reference to how the characters interact with one another, the relationships, the humor, the social context, it is entirely different from the film. If a justified parallel has to be created, I can think of Agatha Christie's novel called The Crooked House that was published in 1949. The story of the murder of the patriarch of the family and the unraveling of the mysterious family members is fairly similar to that of Raat Akeli Hai. Dispersed focus and slow narrative. The brilliance of the film is that it does not waste time in providing new information to the audience from the onset. It does not waste time in setting up, and we are immediately showcased a dreadful event followed by Jatil Yadav taking up the case. What follows, however, and you may feel this as a viewer, is that midway through the film, you wonder whether the focus of the case is getting dispersed in too many inconclusive fragments. The convoluted back and forth of Jatil's internal dialogue of personal wants and to come to the bottom of the case can become a bit tiring for the viewer. The film is 2 hours and 30 minutes long, and especially in the last 45 minutes of the film, as the movie transitions to the cop traveling in search of clues through various cities, juxtaposed by a song composed by Sneha Kanvalkar, there is a sense of lethargy in storytelling, as it is quite contrary to the initial pacing of the film. The movie could have easily chopped around 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, and it would have possibly made this film perfect in every way. The casting coup. The fact that the creators managed to get such a spectacular cast together for the project is exemplary to say the least. The film possesses all the talent you should sing praises for and spread their work whenever it comes out, because they represent what the craft requires: skillful performances and an effortless way of immersing themselves in any world created by individuals behind the camera. Nawazuddin Siddiqui, the frustrated bachelor, sharp and fearless in many ways as Jatil Yadav, is phenomenal in this film. The actor is more or less in every frame of the movie and carries the intensity and the much needed element of any thriller of what's going to happen next intact with his believable and convincing performance. The contrast of his note joke with his mother and his sense of assertion regarding the case is portrayed beautifully. It is so refreshing to see Radhika Apte back in a film. She plays the role of Radha, the bride, whose husband dies on the night of her wedding. She is feisty, opinionated, and ironically, the only sign of independence in a household where women cease to have opinions of their own. The supporting cast of the film, each element is presented as if they belong in the world created by writer Smita Singh. Shweta Tripathi as Karuna, you can literally see the helpless state of her character and the suffocation she feels in the otherwise palatial home. Literally dum ghutte hue dikhta hai har scene mein. Tigmanshu Dhulia as the senior police officer and Aditya Srivastav as the MLA represent everything wrong with the bureaucratic systems in the country today. Both embody the characters we have seen in any official proceedings or organizations perfectly. Sridhar Dubey as Jatil's partner on the case, Swanand Kirkire as the brother-in-law, Nishan Daya, the nephew, cunning and resolute in his way, Shivani Raghuvanshi as Vasudha, the surface-level condescension oozing out of her character in every frame, Padmavati Rao as the matriarch, a representation of the systemic issues that persist in that household. Ela Arun is one actor that I have to come to later. I can't say enough for the cast of the film. The performances are absolutely spectacular. The writing. Smita Singh is definitely the unsung hero of this film. Not only has she written the dialogues of the movie, but is responsible for the screenplay as well as the story. Her impeccable writing especially stands out with respect to the interaction among several characters. Jatil Yadav's intimidation tactics with several family members that changes depending on the characters and their demeanor, his constant back and forth with his mother of wanting and searching for the perfect bride for him. Ela Arun and Nawazuddin were the highlights of the otherwise all over the place Dhumketu. They share such natural chemistry with one another that I couldn't help myself but laugh at every scene that showcased the both of them. The film perfectly balances the humor as well as the dread, never really getting saturated on either side. Very indicative of Vishal Bhardwaj's sense of filmmaking that Hani Trehan is inspired by. The exquisite use of humor even in the most dire situations. The theme. The film is more than just a whodunit thriller. This film is a representation of the class differences that become extremely obvious in the process of law and order, one which manipulates events for their suitability and the other that remain victims to the system. It is a commentary on how judgment in India through class, color and caste is the prerequisite for any interaction progressing. This movie experience made me realize that this was precisely what I failed to acknowledge in my Bulbul review, as I got caught up in the minutiae of a genre-specific argument and overlooked the powerful social commentary the film offered regarding the dire state of women in Indian society. You guys rightly pointed that out and I acknowledge my fallacies regarding my argument. Similarly, Raat Akeli Hai showcases the irony of majority households in India that spread sermons about respect and honor while behind closed doors their women are not able to love, think and express freely. A reflection of the dread many women have to face, both in the world as well as the establishment they call home, to march on, to bear the injustice, to be passive and to keep marching on. Raat Akeli Hai creates a powerful statement through its storyline. And that was the video, guys. Write it down in the comments below what you thought about the movie. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.